Very dear students, today we are on chapter 3 of the novel A Passage to India by M. Foster. In chapter 2, we had studied about the interaction of two European white women with Dr. Aziz in the mosque, and this chapter is the continuation of the same. But here, many more English speaking, English characters would be introduced, and their culture would be highlighted up to some extent. So we should start with the reading of this passage. Here in this passage, we are shown that some kind of drama is going on, and the title of the drama is Cousin Kate. And all these white people are watching this drama inside a club, and the club is suffocating the fans. As for example, we read in the first passage here, one electric fan revolved like a wounded bird, another was out of order. Declined to return to the audience, she went into the billiard room where she was greeted by, I want to see the real India, and her appropriate life came back with a rush. So, this is the situation with which the chapter is starting. And we come to know that Adela and Mrs. Moore are not comfortable with the drama, so they come outside and enter into different rooms, and there they show their desire to Mr. Roney also, to Mr. Fielding also, and to many other people by saying that they want to see the real India instead of watching this drama. So that is the purpose, that is the theme of the novel with which this chapter begins. That the ladies, these two, one young and one old lady, Mrs. Moore and Adela, they want to see the real India. Now, this is the issue that will be discussed with this theme in whole of this chapter, and that with the passage of time we will be able to talk about. But before that, the writer concentrates on the description of the moon. For example, if we read here the paragraph, which is with the green highlighted pen writing, which says moon in the talk. It says the two ladies had happened the night before to see the moon reflection in a distant channel of the stream. The water had drawn it out so that it had seemed larger than the real moon and brighter, which had pleased them. I went to the mast, but I didn't catch the moon. The angle would have altered, she rises later. So here the description of the moon is there, which is fascinating. And definitely this type of moon is not that available in England. So the ladies, when they wanted to see India, they also had this fascination that they must be looking at the moon also. Sometimes they look in the stream and sometimes they want to look in the sky, but when they are inside the mosque, they were unable to look at the moon. So moon becomes the source of inspiration, the source of happiness for these two ladies, especially for Mrs. Moore. Mrs. Moore's love for nature as well as Mrs. Moore's mysticism, all these things are pointed out along with the fascinations of the East for the Western people. And so there is a kind of attraction of the moon as well in South Asia, which these two ladies, as the representative of the white nation, are seeing. So that is why the description of moon has also become important in this part of the chapter. And now, if you see the starting line of this page where it says, and had learned that life never gives us what we want at the moment, that we consider appropriate adventures. So this is something which is being discussed here about the human plight, that human beings most of the time want to get something at a specific moment, but it's not given to them, and that moment passes, and after that the thing will come, and in that way, sometime even ages pass, and one is unable to get what one wants to do. So this is human life. Most of the time, is helpless, is unable to achieve what it wants to, and even if it achieves at a moment when it is not that much beneficial or important. So this is the opinion of Mrs. Moore and Miss Quested. All these people are discussing this thing, and that's the general human comment given by the writer here. And now you see we have a very good paragraph here. It says Miss Moore was surprised to learn this dignity not being a quality with which any mother credits her son. Miss Quested learned it with anxiety, for she had not decided whether she liked dignified men. She tried indeed to discuss the point with Mr. Churton, but he silenced her with a good humored motion of his hand and continued what he had come to say. The long and short of it is Hislop is a Sahab. He's the type we want. He's one of us and another civilian who was leaning over the billiard table, said, "Here, here." The matter was thus placed beyond doubt, and the collector passed on for other duties called him. So here we know that Miss Moore has a son, that is Ronnie Hislop. He is the magistrate here, and when they talk of who is the good Sahab, who is the Sahab, and who is the good officer, Mr. Turton is trying to let all the company know that Ronnie Hislop is a Pakka Sahab, is a good Sahab, is a very beneficial Sahab. He says that he is good, and therefore it's being told to us that some of the English are Sahabs, some of the English are the people who would treat the Indians in a bad way, and that is why Heslop on his treatment is treating the Indians in that way that it's being said he's right. But in fact, when we look at the gentlemanly approach, as is shown in England, that the people should be treated well, that is appreciated. Now, Mrs. Moore and Miss Quested have this kind of concept in their mind that Mrs. Moore could not credit her son with the kind of dignity and quality he was being told about, and Miss Quested was also anxious because he didn't expect this kind of thing. So one can say that the attitude of the British in England is different from the attitude the British has in India for the Indian people. And with the same tone, if we proceed further, we will read here, green paragraph. They refused, they were weary of drinks, and Miss Quested, who always said exactly what was in her mind, announced, knew that she was desirous of seeing the real India. Ronnie was in high spirits. The quest struck him as a calming, and he called out to another passers-by, Fielding, how is one to see the real India? Try seeing Indians. The man answered and vanished. Who was that? Our schoolmaster, the government call it. So here again, the same tone is maintained by the writer when it is being said by Miss Quested, Adela Quested, that she wanted to see the real India. Mr. Roney, when he listened to this kind of word, he laughed first of all, and he didn't know how to answer this question. So he called someone and asked the question, how real India can be seen. The answer was that only it is Mr. Fielding who can help, and that is to see the real Indians. So, to coming to India, to understanding India was to understand the Indians. And this the white men didn't want to do, as Mr. Ronnie said, that they just wanted to rule, just wanted to perpetuate their imperialism. They didn't want to do that. But on the other hand, we have a difference of opinion between Ronnie and Adela, that Adela wanted to see the real India, Mr. Moore wanted to read the real India, and the solution was only, as Mr. Fielding said, who was a schoolmaster or a college teacher, that only possibility of understanding India was to try seeing Indians. And this is what the white man possibly didn't want to do. And so, therefore, the paragraph leads us to the next one in order to understand the similar kind of situation. For example, here the writer says, why, the kindest thing one can do to native is to let him die, said Mrs. Calendar. How, if he went to heaven? Asked Mrs. Moore with a gentle but crooked smile. He can go where he likes as long as he doesn't come near me. They give me the creep. As a matter of fact, I have thought that you were saying about heaven, and that is why I am against missionaries, said the lady who had been a nurse. I am all for chaplains, but all against missionaries, let me explain. So here again, we get the same idea that they didn't want to see the Indians, they didn't want to meet the Indians, they didn't want to interact with the Indians, and that is why it's being said that Indian is only good till the time he is away from them, doesn't want to interact. So this goes to reflect to another theme, that the possibility of friendship between the Indians and the white people in India was very meager, very weak one. The possibility of friendship was not there, and that is why this type of opinion is being reflected by Mrs. Calendar. And proceeding also with the same tone, we have these two lines where it is said, Fielding, Miss Sturton closed her eyes this name and remarked that Miss Fielding wasn't Puka and had better marry Miss Quested, for she was Puka. She wasn't Puka. So this line goes to show that the English can be rapidly divided into two parts, one who were Paka Sahabs and another who were not Paka Sahab. For example, Adela wanted to see the Indians, wanted to meet them, so she was not also Paka. And Fielding also said that the real way of understanding Indian was to interact with the Indians, and that is why he was also not Paka. So that is why both of these people should marry, as Mr. Turton says. So in that way, being Puka means to be harsh to the Indians, and being non-Puka means to be soft towards the Indian. So this is the way how the word Sahab was utilized and understood in India by these people. And that also creates a type of understanding among the Indian people and the white people. And so here is another paragraph in this way. Mrs. Moore, home the club had stupefied, woke up outside. She watched the moon, whose radiance stained with the primrose, the purple of surrounding sky. In England, the moon had seemed dead and alien. Here she was caught in the shawl of night together with Earth and the other stars. A sudden sense of unity, kinship, and the heavenly bodies passed into old women and out like a water through a tank, leaving a strange freshness behind. She didn't dislike Cousin Kate or National Anthem, but their note had died into a new one, just as cocktails and cigars had died into invisible flowers. When the mask, long and domeless, gleamed at the turn of the road, she exclaimed, "Oh, yes, that's where I got to, that's where I've been." So this paragraph reflects Mrs. Moore's mysticism. I have already talked about the moon in England and moon in India, but here I want to say that this is the kind of connection being felt by Mrs. Moore between moon, the natural object, instead of finding the connection between artificial drama, which was being done in the club. She didn't like that, and that is why she was more appreciative of the objects of nature, heavenly bodies, and the kind of connection she felt. That's why it is the Mrs. Moore's mysticism. The writer wants us to understand that the ladies of the young people who come from England, that's not necessarily they should be just like behaving the Pukka Sahab. They could be as against Miss Sturton. It could be the softer attitude of the woman, and but only those women who are feeling themselves attached towards nature. So, role of nature in making up the personalities of the people that is highlighted by the writer here in this part of the chapter. So, the next part is here. A doctor, I don't know his name, a doctor, I know young Dr. Chandrapur. So this is the paragraph that possibly I don't need to read fully because the thing is crystal clear. For example, one more line which has a question mark, it says, thereupon the truth struck him and he cried, "Oh, good gracious, not a Mohammedan." So, and in the same tone, the Mohammedan is discussed, and ultimately the things go down, and the problem is shown in the end of the paragraph, where the writer is telling us that the people who are listening to about the Mohammedan doctor, they said, "How impudently! What was the doing there himself at this time of night? No, it's not there. Prayer time." This is then suggestion to Miss Quester to show the keenest interest. So he called you over your shoes. Then it was impudence. It was old trick. I wish you had had them on. So here the incident is being reminded that the two ladies had entered into the mosque where they saw one man, and that man is a doctor, and he's Dr. Aziz. And this is a kind of starter of the conflict between the white people and the non-white people, Indians, that why the ladies had gone to the mosque and why they had talked to Dr. Aziz, even if he is an educated person, even if he is a tolerant person, a good man, but he's a Mohammedan, so therefore they shouldn't have talked to them. So this is a kind of jealousy or a kind of one can say kind of hate, hidden hate is available for the Indians, even if they may be educated, highly qualified. The ladies had talked to him, and the matter of removing of the shoes is also discussed here. That in the mosque the shoes should be removed, but the people, the white people, are saying no, they shouldn't have removed this, removed the shoes. And why and how dare Dr. Aziz tell them to remove the shoes? And they also put in question why he was present at the time of evening in the mosque. It's not their time, etc., etc. So in this way, a keen eye of keeping the two parts separate from each other. One part of the white people India, other part the local people India, and that needs to be separated by these people. This is their belief. So the friendship theme works very much here. That it's not going to work at all between the Indians and the white people. Ronnie the magistrate, who's the son of Miss Moore and is going to be married to Adela Queste, has got something very much against the Indians. He wants to keep them separate. So he wished she shouldn't interfere. His mother didn't signify. She was just a globetrotter, a temporary escort who could retire to England with that impression. She chose, but Adela, who meditated spending her life in the country, was a more serious matter. It would be tiresome if she started crooked over the native question. Pulling up the mirror, he said, "There's your Ganges." So here is something which Mr. Ronnie is thinking. Mr. Ronnie says that the sympathy of his mother for the Indian is not a matter because she would return to England very soon, but Adela, who would marry him, would stay in India for a long time, and this kind of sympathy for the Indian, according to him, was not good. And this was he trying to highlight. So the seeds of separation between the Indians and the white man is already present here in the mind of Ronnie, and he would definitely act accordingly. and in that way the whole thing continues to be discussed, and uh, this thing is irritating for Mr. Roni, and that's why he inquires complete things about the man. These two women, white women, met in the march, so he calculates that he could be Dr. Aziz, who was a well-built good man, but he was still Indian, and that is why he worked in the mental hospital also, and was not suitable to be met because he was Indian. Otherwise, he was educated. So again and again, the stress is being made that the friendship between the Indians and the white people is not possible, even if they are highly qualified, even if they are educated, even if they have so many good qualities among them. And therefore, another paragraph has revealed why this kind of attitude has been adopted by Ronnie and by many other white Indian people, white men from England in India. For example, it said, "India isn't home," he retorted rather rudely. But in order to silence her, he has been using phrases and argument that he had picked up from older officials, and he did not feel quite sure of himself when he said, "Of course, there are exceptions." He was quoting Mr. Turton while increasing the izzat was Major Calendar's own. The phrase worked and were in current use at the club, but she was rather clever at detecting the first from the second and might press him for definite examples. So the reason is being presented that India is a difficult place. All the officials have to take care that no problem occurs, and that is why they have to keep the Indians at a distance, because the Indians are very much concerned about their izzat, about their respect and honor, and that can cause a lot of problems, and that is why this thing was being discussed. So, in that way, it was not thought proper by the whole company that Dr. Aziz should be given this type of opportunity, that he can talk to the ladies of the white men. May they be good, may they be bad, but they have to be kept separate. And that was the purpose of this whole chapter. And so the chapter ends here. Chapter 4 will begin next, and we will be discussing that chapter also. So we have read in this chapter that the things are not good between the Indians and the white people, because the Indians think themselves the people who are capable, who can have good relations with the white man, but the white man thinks it's not possible, and he therefore needs to keep all these people separately in their cages, self invented cages, and that can cause really a kind of trouble, and that is why they say that it's not possible to have a good friendship between the Indians and the white people. So here the chapter stops. Hope to see you for the next chapter.